Karen Bonifilio, Inner Realms, Outer Journeys. I have a special guest on today, and she's going to talk about Reiki and about healing yourself through energy because you know what? We are all energy. So she's going to discuss that. And first, I'm going to say, would you like to say hello, Brenda, before I read about you?
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here. I'm in
Good.
Arizona. Karen's in Oregon. So, I know what it's like in Oregon, too.
Yeah, she grew up here,
Yes.
but she likes living in the desert, you know?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Anyway, let me tell you about Brenda. And I could tell you a secret, but I might. No, you know what you. If I said it, you would know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
probably. Yeah.
Okay, she is a native Oregonian. She's born in Southern Oregon, but lived the majority of her life through her college years around Lake Oswego. She attended Oregon State University, go Beavs, Portland Community College, and then graduated from Portland State University. She was a personal manager for an electronics manufacturer in Portland when she returned to Lewis and Clark Law School and graduated from their 4-year night school program. Wow, that's impressive. You were working and you went to law school? Whoa. Although her plan was to do employment law, the universe had other ideas. Funny how that works, huh? Her legal career spanned over 25 years as a criminal defense attorney in both Oregon and Utah. Her love for human resources and employee relations works continued to expand as she followed that career path as well. But then she shifted. So she now lives in what she calls her spiritual oasis in the desert. 2 acres on a dirt road with 2 horses in the back, 2 dogs in the yard, and an excellent employee relations for an HR business partner at the local hospital. But we're here to talk to her about Reiki. So she's been practicing Reiki since 2020, primarily on animals. So if you have an animal, any kind of animal, she can help you with the animal too and with the healing. And she's a Reiki master and expanded to people clients, and she finds it very rewarding. And is it your website that is Rising Spiritual Healing?
Yeah, my business is Rising Spirit Healing. Yes.
Rising Spirit Healing. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I added a little
No
more
worries.
there. Okay, so you've had a varied life and a varied career and lived in a lot of different places. Um, how did you first discover Reiki and what drew you to it?
So I've always been interested in kind of metaphysical things, but my career and my upbringing was pretty much analytical, kind of
Yeah.
the generation we grew up in. But I've always liked to do spiritual things and had a few kind of woo-woo experiences over, in my lifetime, but didn't think too much of them when they happened. But and then I've always been interested in Reiki for the healing possibilities of it. And when I was in Seattle, then I was finally able to meet a Reiki master that I met her through animal communication because I've had horses and dogs and things all my life. And I've used animal communicators several times. So she was also a Reiki
Oh,
master. So I decided to go ahead and do that at that time when I was living in near Seattle.
very cool. I totally believe in animal communicators to being a conduit. That's your next one, Brenda. Be a conduit between the animal and the person.
Mhm.
Were you having Reiki done on you before you started becoming a master?
Not really, just what we did in our classes, those type of things. But Reiki kind of
Mhm.
gives you the main thing it does is a very relaxing type of a feeling for even people that don't believe it. I have got one client right now, and she's like, I don't know how it works. I don't know what you're supposed to believe in, but I'd like to lay on the table with Brenda for hours if I could. And I'm like, okay, whatever works.
Now, is that in person or through Zoom or something?
That's in person. These are in person that I've been doing lately. So yeah.
Okay, well, walk us through the different things. Tell us what it's like in person, and tell what it would be like if you were doing it like on a video format like this.
Okay. So if I'm doing it in person, I have a couple of salons that I work out of here locally. And I
Oh,
have a table and I go in and they come in and it could be 30 to 45-minute type of a session. We come in and do a little breathing and I was taught to use a pendulum. And so
oh,
they lay down. I have a nice little mask that's got some little chamomile or lavender heating on it that they can use over their eyes. And I use a pendulum and I look at their chakras. So we go through their chakras with the pendulum and kind of see where they're at. And then once we've done that, I can kind of see where they need to be worked on. And so I bring in well, Reiki is actually channeling universal life force energy. And
oh, great.
because I've been attuned to it, I'm going to kind of back step a little bit, but there's a Reiki 1, a Reiki 2, and then a Reiki 3 master, and also the Reiki teacher. And I've been through all those.
Oh,
So
wow.
each one is an attunement, which is where the master passes that Reiki attunement to you. And so when you have that attunement, and it's a Japanese healing modality. So when you have that attunement, then you're able to be a channel for that energy. The energy, it's not my energy. I'm just a channel for that universal life force energy that comes through. So a lot of people do it. There's different hand positions you can use. And I tend to not I do it hands off. So I'll do the hand positions just a little bit above them. And then the energy, you can feel the energy there. You can feel heat sometimes, or sometimes you'll get feelings about different things about them, what might be going on with them at that time. And sometimes it's just relaxation. And with Reiki, Reiki goes where it's supposed to go. So even if all I
Mm-hmm,
do is stand
mm-hmm,
over them and just kind of bring in the Reiki energy, it will
mm-hmm.
go where it needs to go. So everybody has kind of their own little method of how they do it. There's a certain way that you're taught, but you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of make it your own as well.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So, does a pendulum kind of fine tune? Okay, this chakra needs is a little wobbly, and those kinds of things. So,
Yeah,
does
with
that
the
fine tune that?
no, the pendulum doesn't do any tuning. The pendulum just tells you yes or no.
Okay.
So first of all, with the pendulum, you take it in and you learn. You have to kind of program it so you know what yes or no or balanced or unbalanced is, and it can spin
Mm-hmm.
in a circle clockwise, counterclockwise. It can just sit there. It can go back and forth. So it means different things. And that's just how you program your own pendulum so that you kind of get
Okay.
so you know what that means to you. And then when you're done with 20, 30 minutes, however long it takes,
Mm-hmm.
um, you go back over them again with the pendulum and see if it's changed.
Oh.
And usually then it will be like, for me, it ends up being in just a small a clockwise circle, and that means that it's pretty good. Sometimes it'll still be a little unbalanced in one spot, and so then you go back and do that spot a little bit more, and then you can come back and forth. And then when you're done, I have a little, you kind of give them a little signal that you're done, and they can still lay there a little bit longer. And then you kind of break away from the energy, so that as a practitioner, you don't take their energy back with you.
So you are channeling a life force energy into them. Do
Mhm.
you feel that energy within yourself as it goes to that person?
So you can feel it. Yes, you can feel it in a lot of people feel it mainly in their hands. Your hands will warm up. A lot of times you go like this to get it going. And if you've done qigong or anything, or where you've even just rubbed your hands together, you can tell that that's the qi and that's the life force energy, and that's the energy that's coming through. And this is not something that's special to just special people. Anybody can do this. The training for Reiki gives you that attunement, but there's people that haven't had Reiki that are just energy healers, and they can do that too. But Reiki
Oh,
is a
okay.
special path for that. So
Okay.
you can feel it in your hands. Sometimes I'll get tingles or body shakes or things when you're in certain areas, something like that. So you just kind of learn what your own signals are as well.
Hmm.
So
And so it's different for everybody, every master.
I would think so. Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's say we were doing this remotely.
Mhm.
How would that work for people?
So
Because you can
remotely,
also do that.
yeah. Um, I've learned. I have a person. I had a Reiki master here locally where I got my final master training, and then I've also been working with someone in Sedona, which is the woo woo
Mhm.
capital of the world, and and so she helps me quite a bit, and so she's helped me a lot with doing the distance work as well, and what I do with distance work is I have what's called a Reiki bear, and it's just a stuffed bear that I use that I've had for a long time, and I infused it with Reiki, and then I just use that as the person. And then you can use your hands on that person. You can go through all the things that you go through, and and I use that as the person. Now I've also incorporated some stuffed animals. I have a small dog that looks like my cattle dog healer, so I can use that if I'm going to be doing dogs. And I have a black stuffed horse that's very soft, which is like my big cookie horse, my warm blood mare. And then I have
Mhm.
a smaller red one that is kind of like my quarter horse mare. So
Oh.
I can use those for anybody else's horses as well. But I would just say you say their name a couple of times and their location, and then you send that out to them. You can also do that with just saying their name or just using just talking about it yourself. But a lot of people use the animals or the some type of figurine like that so that it's a little bit easier to see the spots. And maybe if something comes out on a spot, like for a horse, if it comes out, oh, they're sore in their back, you might want to be hovering over that back spot. So, and the thing about energy, it's it's not linear. It's the timing isn't linear. So, um, I can send it to someone and they don't even have to know about it, or they don't have to
Oh.
be sitting somewhere quietly waiting for it, but it will go to them. And so energy is for people that aren't sure about energy, um,
Mhm.
tell me how your phone works. Tell me how we're actually talking to each other through the space here now. How does that work?
Mhm.
Aren't we doing distance talking?
Yeah, there's towers, there's little things that pings off,
Yeah,
satellite.
yeah, exactly. So for
Mhm.
Reiki or any kind of energy healing, it's pinging off the universe.
Okay.
But it's those same, I mean, that's just a very simplistic way to look at it. But when you think about how people say, how can that work? Well, it's not really a thing that has to work. It's just universal energy.
And
So
we know
it's
that
out
it
there.
is. Well, I've had energy healing in person and remotely.
Yes.
And I didn't know what was going on when it was remotely, but I'll tell you, I felt a difference after it was done.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just went about my day and yeah, so that's really cool, Brenda. Well, you made me think of another question and then I forgot it. Darn it. So tell me some benefits that people report during a Reiki session.
So some of the benefits, probably the biggest one if you're just starting out, is going to be relaxation, um, and easing of anxiety. And I can tell you, I also get benefits from doing Reiki, from giving a Reiki session, which
Mhm.
is really nice
Mhm.
because it also relaxes me. And I tend to be an overthinker, former lawyer, all that good stuff. So,
I think you're type A.
do you think so? Do you think so? So, I've it's helped me to slow down, and just I've kind of been on this spiritual journey, I guess, for about in high mode for about a year and a half
Mhm.
maybe, that I've really kind of
Mhm.
kicked into it, and I have slowed down. I've relaxed. Sometimes I
Oh.
wonder if I forgot everything I'm supposed to do. One of those kind of moments. It's like, is this a
Mhm.
senior moment or am I at peace?
That's cool though.
So,
See.
but I think that's one of the things that it does. It will help you calm yourself. So
Mhm.
that's one of the biggest benefits. It can also help with healing certain things, and I think what it really does is helps the person heal themselves by generating their own healing energy. It's not that I'm healing someone; I'm helping to put that
Right.
energy, channeling that energy into them,
Mhm.
and then that helps them heal themselves. So that's the overall part of it.
That's very cool. That's seriously very cool. And do you do Reiki on yourself?
Yes. Hmm.
Wow.
I'll do it I do it on my dogs sometimes. Like I said, I have a very hyper cattle dog, and then I have a little corgi cattle dog mix, and one time I was sitting just watching TV with my husband, and I was kind of working on the dogs just from the couch, and
Mhm.
and they were just yawning and just, nodding off, and more so than usual. And I looked over at my husband, and he was asleep too.
Are you kidding? Everybody
Okay, I've
was
hypnotized the
benefiting.
whole room.
Oh my gosh. That's really cool though.
It's interesting, yeah.
That is very cool. Okay, and so tell me about the physical ailments that Reiki can work with.
So again, it's for physical ailments, it's going to be helping them help themselves. But
Mhm.
and I haven't worked a lot with people that have a lot of physical type things. So mine's more elemental, kind of, with just the relaxation. But it can certainly help people if they are having any kind of pains or arthritic pains, things like that. And again, it's just relaxing that and helping them to use their own energy to heal that as well. I know there's people that have debilitating diseases, and
Mhm.
it can help them go through those, help ease the pain of those kind of things, and that type of thing. So I don't have any examples about that, but I know that it works for all different types of healings as well.
So, a question. I know this gal on Instagram, and she'll announce that she is going to do a Reiki healing, and
Hmm.
then she asks people to submit names. So, if you were to do that,
Hmm.
and you had that list of names, the Reiki would go out to all of those people. The
Hmm.
healing energy would.
Hmm.
Girl, you
Yeah.
should start doing that.
Yeah, yeah, and so I have a Reiki box, and I'll put people's names in that box, and I kind of infused it with Reiki, just kind of put Reiki around it in the box, and then you can just kind of, for people
Oh,
like
geez.
your friends, or people that are going through a hard time, and then you can just do that each time. You can say, I'd like to send Reiki healing energy to everyone that's in my Reiki box right now. So.
That's cool. And as you're talking, I got this super huge chill.
Oh,
So, yeah, that's spot on. Spirit saying that's spot on. So, put my name in your box,
I,
okay?
I think it's already in there, Karen.
Is it really? That's cool. I didn't even know it. Um, have you had any memorable Reiki sessions where people were just, amazed at what happened or,
um,
you know,
so my one friend that I do quite a bit of work on here, um, she's the one that says she'd like to just lay there all day long. So she really she has a lot of life things that are happening with her right now, and so it really relaxes her, and she really enjoys it a lot. Just the relaxation, and I think it also helps her to not be thinking about everything. So that's kind of that overthinker thing again. So it helps her to just relax and go somewhere else, and
work on
just,
herself?
yes, yeah. Hmm.
Ah, I think that's so good. So, you talked about the benefits and physicalness. Do you ever have anyone that you're working on that's skeptical?
Yeah. In fact, I had even my friend that gets so relaxed. She goes, I don't know how this works. I don't even know if I believe it, but I do know that when I'm laying there, I really feel relaxed and good, and you may not feel it when you're there. It might happen later.
Hmm.
So it just kind of depends. And with Reiki, you don't have to believe it. It's a universal energy. So it just goes to where it needs to go. So
You don't have to believe it. It's going to happen to you
whether you like it
whether
or
you
not.
want.
Well, and one of the things is, you do need to ask permission. And even if you're doing a distance healing for an animal, or for an animal, you want to always ask permission, and you can just ask it in your mind, are you open to having me open to this Reiki session? And usually when you do that with an animal, they'll usually um, kind of turn and look at you, something like
Oh,
that.
how cool.
And I probably, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I've had more interesting experiences with like the horses, because I'll be going out and working on one of my horses, and my big horse Cookie. I've done a lot of work with her, and she also had a lot of work done from other Reiki people and animal communicators before I was doing that.
Mhm.
And I'll go out and work on Rosie, my little red horse, and I'll be doing some work on her. And Rosie starts yawning, and I turn around and look at Cookie, and she's like about to fall asleep, and she's yawning on the other side. And so when you're doing animals, it's just like in the living room, like I was talking about. Then it kind of goes from one to the other, especially if they've had it before. Then they kind of know and they key right into you, so they like it.
I bet they love it.
Oh, they do,
I bet
yeah.
they really love it.
Hmm.
And you can do animals remotely too.
Sure, yeah. Hmm.
Gosh, I think that's just fascinating that you can do that. Wow. Any more animal stories? I love animal stories with the
um,
Reiki that you've done.
um, Not too many stories there. I'm also doing a little bit of card reading and things, and I was trying to do a card reading session out with the horses the other day with the videos. And so,
What kind-
and in Arizona, for one thing, it was kind of a little bit of a non-windy day, which is, Arizona, wind all the time. So I'm sitting out there in the middle of their dry pen and sitting on my mounting block, and I had a little table and I had my phone hooked up there and my cards. And so, of course, Cookie, she comes right over, and her big nose is right in the screen, and pretty soon she's knocking the camera, and then the wind came up, and it was crazy. So I want to do that some more, but it was kind of a production nightmare that day.
Well, you got to learn. Now, when
Yeah.
you're talking card, are you talking tarot card?
I can do tarot cards, but I was doing Oracle, just regular Oracle
Oracle
cards.
cards.
But I'm learning a little bit of tarot card, so I'm kind of spreading out, going into different areas too. I'm also doing some intuitive coaching. I'm working on some classes for that. So it's just fun, and it's very good, like I said, for my own well-being as well, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
really good when people get into this. Even if you just took a Reiki 1 class,
Mm-hmm.
it would help you to know how to heal yourself. So Reiki 1 is basically healing yourself and family members. Reiki 2 is going to be distance healing. And then Reiki 3 goes
Oh,
into being a master. And then uh, the second part of the Reiki Master is the teacher, which is then allows you to be able to teach Reiki, which I can do as well, or teach the classes. So
you
I haven't
take
done
as
any of
well as
that yet,
those.
but
Mm-hmm. So
so
tell
there's
us
different.
about the Reiki 1 class. What would they expect if they took that class? And do you
So
teach those classes?
I haven't yet, but I can. I
Okay.
so when I can tell you when I took the class too, and because I still remember that, but it's primarily the history of Reiki, and then it also goes through the hand positions. Uh, it goes through practice. So the teacher that I had, we did quite a bit of practice on each other, so that was interesting. And then you do the attunement. So that's kind of
And
that's like a secret ceremony I can't reveal.
was that in person that you learned that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I did all mine in person. Now
Okay.
they do some online as well. And whatever you want to do. Most people have passed it down because the classic is a lineage. So you want to go through from the Yusui, which was the main person in Japan. They go down as a lineage from there. And some are very, very strict on their lineage. Um,
Oh,
and then we also have some that now, you turn onto YouTube, become a Reiki master in 6 hours. Um, when I did mine, I did 2 days for Reiki 1, and then I had to wait like 4 to 6 months before I could do Reiki 2. Again, I think that was another 2 days. And then I did my Reiki Master, and even in between my Reiki Master and teacher, I had to wait a couple of months to do that.
and tell me why you had to wait.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's so that you can practice and kind of absorb the attunement,
Right.
so that you can realize what's going on and kind of have time to absorb the new attunement that you received and practice it. And there's also symbols. There's symbols that you use, that you learn as well.
Somehow taking it on YouTube and becoming a Reiki master in 6 hours, I don't know, doesn't sound real doable.
No, and that might have been a little bit of an exaggeration, but you know how things are
Oh,
today. But
yeah.
people do them pretty quickly. And again, I've done things with my Reiki people that I work with, and I've done them online, not online. I've done them through the phone, through distance, and I can tell I've had attunements that way, different attunements, not Reiki attunements, but I can feel that. And that's probably because I'm already attuned to Reiki, and so I've already got those things going on. So I don't
Hmm.
doubt that you could do that, but I'm not sure if from the very beginning you could do that. And that's just my own opinion. People have different opinions on that.
I think it's fascinating. So you think everybody can learn how to do Reiki,
Sure. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
and
And
then
it's
you
just
could
like,
use it to heal yourself.
I'm sorry, what?
You can use it to heal yourself
Yeah,
also
yeah.
by
And
learning
that's
how
a,
to do that.
yeah. And in fact, that's part of the thing when you do Reiki 1, then they want you to practice, on yourself with the hand placements and things like that. So that's part of the reason
Really?
that the original ones, the classic wants you to take time in between so that you can practice on yourself and then on other people and then distance.
To me, that makes way more sense.
Hmm.
That you refine those skills before you take on another skill.
Hmm.
Just what I'm thinking, kind of learning that way.
Hmm.
Um, so I know your client got a lot of benefit. That one lady you were talking about, just the relaxations. Um, can you tell us some other benefits that they might expect to receive?
Um, and I think, less stress, less anxiety. Um,
Oh, that's perfect.
yeah, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest ones. And like I said, that helps me. In fact, one day when I did 3 people, um, and that's a lot to do, in a day is 3 people. Actually, I found out that was a lot, but I was, I was just feeling, I was feeling so calm and content. And I was like, wow, I feel pretty good. This is nice. And I'm like, oh, I kind of did Reiki to myself, I guess, while I was doing that too. So, yeah.
I think I might have to look into this. I think this might be something really beneficial to
Mhm.
learn on my own too.
And people
I
learn it without wanting to go ahead and do it on anyone else.
right, and
So,
that would be me.
mhm,
Yeah, I'm not drawn to performing it on other people, but
mhm,
just for myself or my dogs because they are like
mhm.
hyper, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you've got those working dogs too.
Oh my god, and they bark so much. It's like, oh my
Oh.
gosh, please just be quiet. And notice they're very calm.
Mhm.
They've learned that once I turn on this, they need to be quiet and stuff. It doesn't always work, but yeah. Brenda, is there anything else that I missed that you would like to share?
I'd like to tell a little story if I can. So,
Definitely.
so, um, I always like to think that life connects the dots, no matter where we end up. And back when I went to college in Oregon State,
Hmm.
I gained a very good friend. Her name is Marla, who's also Karen met her also later in life. And
I
this
love
was
her.
and Marla and I lived across the hall in Buxton Hall in the Quad at Oregon State, and we were meant to be friends. We instantly, best buddies. So we weren't down at Oregon State for too long. I think I was there for 2 semesters and she was there for one, and we both came back up to Portland in our 20s. I continued on at Portland Community and then also Portland State, and but anyway, we as girls in their 20s will do, we had fun going out to the clubs and things. And Marla was a very good friend, had a very good friend that she already knew, whose name was Carl. And
Mm.
so Carl and Marla and I were like the Three Musketeers, and
Mm.
we went to all the bars in Portland all the time, and also kind of followed Carl around because he was a bass player. And if you've ever seen that old picture of Carl that Karen puts out once in a while, that's the Carl that we knew. Yeah, with the big hair and yeah, back in the 70s. Yeah, wasn't it the 70s?
Yeah.
I think so. Um, at any rate, then we all went our separate ways. And later on, actually at Marla's mother's funeral, we lived in different places. And at that point, Karen was married to Carl. And I had known
Hmm.
that because I knew that from keeping up with Marla. And so I
Hmm.
met Karen and got to see
Hmm.
Carl again. And then Karen and I became friends on Facebook,
Yeah.
basically,
Uh-huh.
and didn't really know that we were both on this spiritual thing until a little bit later.
Yep.
And then we got to meet up again in person last summer, which was awesome when I was
Hmm.
visiting my brother in Portland. And
Hmm.
it's just been wonderful. It's the way things connect the dots, you know?
Crazy, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
It's
Something
crazy.
You never know, something that happens way back in your life, just keep it back there because it can come around. And I've seen that so many times.
Exactly. Exactly. And I have to tell you, and this is what I alluded to at the beginning of the program, that Brenda did know my husband. But what she's not telling you, she was also his girlfriend at one point in time, too. And she told me
Very
that last
long.
summer.
Not
Huh?
for very long, but
Well, no, it's okay. That's his past, but he never shared that with me, but it's okay. and I and I got to tell you, meeting Marla was incredible. The first time I met her, we were sitting in a Thai restaurant where you had to sit down into the seats, and she had me laughing so hard I had to go to the bathroom. And so I'm telling Carl, move, move, you need to move. He had to get up to get out, and I start hitting him because I have to go to the bathroom. She keeps me in stitches. She's so funny. Yeah,
she's hilarious. She always has a great smile and a great laugh.
yeah. We'll have to let her know when this one airs. Sorry, audience, that we digress, but she showed you the connections that you never know will appear in your life. And
Mhm.
who would have known that all this time later, she and I would be friends too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how cool is that? Well, Brenda, later on, I'd love you to come back and talk about the classes that you have developed if you're comfortable with doing that.
Okay.
So we can share that.
Yeah, as it goes, as things progress with me, I'd love to do that. Yeah,
Right, right,
excellent.
exactly. Okay. Anything else before we sign off?
I think that's it.
You did beautifully. Thank you so much for coming onto the channel.
Thank you.
Okay.